You guys have asked me several times and I'm finally gonna give it to you. Let's do a tour of the MD902, which stands for McDonnell Douglas. That's just the brand of helicopter that we have. So my program is the only program in the United States that utilizes this airframe for HEMS, or helicopter EMS. And as you can see, it has 5 blades. It also has 2 engines. That's one of the perks of this airframe. Additionally, it is pretty doggone big. I've got a ton of room on the inside to be able to take care of my patient, and you'll see that in a minute. However, the coolest thing about this airframe is, what don't you see? A tail rotor. We call this NOTAR. We take a couple of letters from no tail rotor to have NOTAR. Well, how this works, because we definitely need the tail to function like a normal tail would to help the aircraft not to spin out of control whenever it is running, is see this mesh right here between the 2 engines? Well, that is the air intake, and it sucks in air and shoots it down the tail rotor, and it comes tail boom, and shoots it out right here, this hole. And then the pilot uses the foot pedals just like a pilot would in any other airframe with a traditional tail rotor, except this is going to turn and focus what direction the air shoots out of, which then pushes the tail in the opposite direction. And so this is going to allow us to do a pedal turn just like you would in any other aircraft. So let's take a gander on the inside and see what we got here. Starting from the booty end of it, let's open this aft door. Aft just means the back of the aircraft. And as you can see, it looks a little bit like a 135. And this is usually the nurse, where the nurse sits, that can turn and face the patient. And so you see, we keep a lot of our luggage. There's our hand heavy bag. We've got an oxygen tank and all kinds of things in here to be able to provide really great quality care to our patients. Let's head on over to the side. This aircraft has a side-load system where we take the patient in and out this side. We bring the cot out, drop it down, because we're not all the Jolly Green Giant super tall. We're able to bring this cot out and we take it with us to the ambulance or into the hospital to go load the patient, bring it back out, slide it in to the sled here, lock it, and in the patient goes. Of course, this can be a little bit tricky if they've got a lot of lines going, they're intubated, and they've got a ton going on, but we always find a way to make it work. This is the airway seat. As you can see, it's at the head of the cot, and we can slide this up and down, whether or not we want the patient to be super close or further down in the patient compartment. We have what we lovingly call the lawn chair right here. That's where we would put a third rider, or if we have an orientee, if we have a patient, a parent of a pediatric patient, we would put them there. And then this is what we call the nurse's seat, and it rotates so that I can be right here facing my patient and working on them. And as you can see, if I slide this all the way up, I've got access to essentially all of my patient. So if I have a tibial plateau IO, or if I have a pathology that's affecting their legs, say they're on a balloon pump and I want to inspect the insertion site, I'm going to have full access to do that in this airframe. As you can see, we keep our vent here, our monitor over there, and all of our other equipment here around the airframe. Here's the inside of the MD902. But wait, there's more. One of my favorite things about this airframe, and I know I keep saying it, it's a really cool aircraft, is that we get to ride up front if we don't have a patient on board. Either the nurse or the medic, we take turns riding up front because our pilots here are really amazing, and they review the incapacitated pilot protocols with us so that if something ever happens to them, they have taught us how to, as safely as we can, get this aircraft on the ground. So as you can see, I can't control the aircraft here from the passenger seat. Our pilot sits over here and operates the aircraft, but using the autopilot features, they've taught us how to get it on the ground as safely as we can into a controlled crash. They've told us, listen, you're never gonna land it as smoothly as we do. And I'm okay with that, just as long as we make it to the ground and can get our pilot help. So there you have it. The coolest airframe, at least in my opinion, the MD902.